Namaste from India, everyone. This is Nisarg Mehta. Today I am presenting our work titled Sovereign Truth in a Loop of Model Context Protocol for Grounding Large Language Models by MoSPI MCP, where MoSPI is the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation by the Government of India. This research is address the fundamental problem of in the age of generative AI, which is grounding risk for the misinformation generated by highly capable large language models. And our goal is to move beyond the traditional discussion of AI hallucination, large language hallucination, and instead of the focusing on the how AI systems can anchor to authoritative sovereign data sources. That is our main goal focus. We are currently adopting in the era of where large language models are widely used for decision supports to content generation, even the policy interpretations, and however the models are probabilistic in a nature and they generate the response based on the patterns in the training data. So then data are not verified on the real-time truth. As the result, often it produces the output that are fraudulent and convincing, but factually inconsistent and misleading. This is because it exceptionally degrades and make it dangerous, such as the output consumed at the scale on the daily basis, and that can lead to missed decisions without verifications. So over here, we believe this implications is the problem not limited to technical inaccuracy, but misinformation generated or amplified by AI system can be directly affect the economic and public policy and institutional trust. For example, conflicting narratives about GDP growth, unemployment data rates, or economic performance of the country influence the investor confidence also and public sentiment. When the users are not distinguish between the authoritative data and the generated interpretations, this is the serious trust deficits emerge where these large language models are lagging behind. To address this challenge, we propose sovereign truth layer concept that can be central idea to ensure that systems do not operate in isolation, but instead of grounded in verified government-backed data sources, rather than relying solely on the pre-trained knowledge. LLM should dynamically access the authoritative data sets to generate responses. This transformation of the model from a probabilistic generator into the context-aware decision support system changed the entire regime. The key enabler of this idea is Model Context Protocol or MCP. MCP is the standardized interface allows the large language models to interact with the external data systems in a structured manner. It operates through these three fundamental components: resources, tools, and prompts. So resource represents the data, tools enables the interactions, and prompts guides how the model should use these informations. Together, this MCP create controlled environment about the particular topic research. Let's say if some economist is researching on the large language model about one of the country's economy, then this MCPs are a very helpful tool for them. So for this experiment, we study how the comparative query based evolution in the MoSP or MCP environment is evaluating the truth. So we take 10 queries and this comes from the domains like unemployment, GDP, growth, and inflation. And this is all about the India, one of the largest country by the population, one of the largest country by the democracy. They over here we found that two distinct information conditions were compare a media and society narrative condition and versus MoSPI grounded connection backed by the government of India over the chat GPT. So responses are evaluated in the four dimensions like factual consistency and narrative distinguish and the grounding quality and correct value. So these are our experimental design. In that we evaluate the entire MCP experiment where we so as we did this experiment. So in our experiment, the MCP architectures consist of primary three layers. First is the client layer where the our client was the ChatGPT as a large language model. Second is the host layer, which is the MCP, which is the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation in Government of India. And the third is the client layer, where the client is based on the RCP protocol. And sorry, third is the communication layer using JSON and the RCP protocol. So after this particular architecture, using the query base, what are the we finds is that exact validations about the sovereign truth. So in the certain media claims, they have an exact match of the unemployment rate, and the MCP confirms that. But in the certain areas like the unemployment data, same story with the certain month where the it is says that 14.3% is there when the local media reports are struggling and they are influenced by the local politics certain way that's can change the entire market and the sensitive confidence of the investors and the public. At that time, comes into the picture and says the exact official numbers with the pinpoint accuracy. So that gave the statistical contextualizations to the researchers and the investors. Beyond to that, let's give a neck-on-neck comparison of our 2 and 10 queries on the real world implementation of this concept. Um, that goes to the this official data sets from the GDP, unemployment, and economic indicators. By integrating this MCP, we come as the sovereign data is the backbone for the AI systems in operating research environment in the Indian context, and this is the critical to ensure the output align with the national data standards. So these are the comparisons like the as I see mentioned in my previous slide, the exact unemployment rate is in January 2026 is 5%. So that is the exact match. But uh, in the same in the another context of youth unemployment rate, where educated Indian youths are struggle to find the jobs that was written in with one of the leading media houses. But what's the MCP says that 14.3% youth are unemployed with the age of this 15 to 29. So this is like media is framing the social narrative, but the government data source of the MCP is saying the truth about this. And similar pattern we see is in the local protest and the state rankings and GDP methodology indications and data accuracy and quarterly GDP growth. So these informations are very across the domains. To evaluate our approach, we just analyze the type of output. First is media based narratives, which is often included interpretation bias variations. Second is MCP grounded outputs, which are directly linked to official data sets, and we evaluate this output based on the consistency, accuracy, interpretability, and the goal to access whether the grounding improvements the reliability of the data source. Our finding indicate that MCP grounded models are significantly outperform the ungrounded models and the media narratives. And they produce outputs are more consistent than and less prone to misinformation. Additionally, these integrations of the structured data enhance the transparency and allowing the user to trace origin of informations. This is directly contributes to building the trust in an AI system. If there is the you can contribute and verify the data source, then you can trust on the AI system. So on the beyond to the technical improvements, this approach has strong governance implications. MCP introduced the layer of accountability and into the AI system. It enables the auditability and ensures the traceability of information and source, allows governance control on the data access layers, and this aligns closely with the emerging frameworks for the responsible and trustworthy AI. It ensures the MCP transforms from the black box to the governable systems. And to conclude that the sovereign grounding reduce the narrative drifts. So certain countries or the certain regimes or the certain lobbies are running against the X country or Y country, that can be affected and confronted by the sovereign grounded data sources among the public media. Because in the next generation of the 5 or 20 years, these LLMs serve as the public channel of the data communication. However, the systems have a certain limitations, and this affects the MCP dependency heavily, availability of the quality of data sources. As well, government may not have always real-time data. Sometimes domain may lack the comprehensive coverage. Additionally, standardization across the sectors is the bigger challenge. But our future work can be in the domain of building a trustworthy data, availability of that kind of trustworthy data, expanding this particular framework, and scale evolution across the sectors. So this can be going forward from the extending frameworks to multiple sectors, including healthcare, finance, cybersecurity. We also plan to integrate global data sources to enable cross-country comparison. And another key direction of the development is standardization of the evaluation benchmarks and the grounding the AI systems in that particular benchmarks. To conclude about the misinformation, one of the most critical risks in the area of generative AI is model context protocol provides the practical and scalable solution for the grounding AI system authoritative data. By introducing the concept of the sovereign truth, we move toward the AI system that are not only intelligent but also reliable and accountable. And these are the references.